LG just announced its 2022 lineup, including the G2, which will feature a heatsink, which will help LG OLED achieve its highest peak brightness yet. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, Tech with KG. All week long, I'll be talking about CES announcements for all the new TVs, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that discussion. Alright, on to the model announcements for 2022. First off, we have the most popular line, the LG C series. This year, it's called the C2, and it will be using the fully unlocked LG Evo panel. Unlike last year, this year you can expect higher peak brightnesses from the C2, likely along the same lines as the G1 of last year, but I could see it getting even brighter thanks to some of the processing enhancements, but more on that later. New for 2022 on the C2 lineup is going to be the 42-inch size joining the 48-inch size on what LG calls its gaming OLED. Now I have to call out that these two sizes won't be using the Evo panel like the 55-inch and above of the C2 models. Another addition to the C2 will be a swivel function for the C2's stand. And for the 42-inch option, you're going to have a different stand altogether, which is going to be a little raised so that you could put something underneath it, such as a gaming console. Also, these new OLED TVs will feature 4 48 gigabits per second HDMI 2.1 ports for PC gamers with capable graphics cards. Alright, moving down, we have the A and B series, and I'll just say this on those. These are the more budget-oriented lines similar to last year. So you will see these TVs using an A7 Gen 5 chipset, while the C2 and G2 will have the A9 Gen 5 chipset. The B series has a 120Hz panel, and it's not going to be an Evo panel. The A series has a 60Hz panel, and that is also not going to be an Evo panel. There's also the 8K Z series, which is always super expensive, and I don't expect that to change too much. Alright, now for the flagship lineup that everybody is really excited about this year, we have the LG G2 Gallery series. This is going to feature what LG calls a brightness booster, which will deliver the highest peak brightness of any LG OLED yet, thanks to improvements to the processor coupled with a heatsink, which is similar to what we've seen from the Sony A90J. And I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited about this announcement because, in my opinion, the A90J was the best TV that I reviewed last year. Also, new for 2022 is going to be the sizes for the G series. They are expanding out to the 83-inch size like we've seen with the C1 last year, and an outrageous 97-inch screen size option, just when you thought you were getting over the FOMO of the 83-inch screens. So what else is LG bringing with these OLEDs this year? Well, how about a much needed change with the newly revamped Dynamic Tone Mapping system? LG is promising the best looking picture yet. They're also talking so much about the AI deep learning getting even better, and this is always welcome news after seeing the picture quality improvements from Sony and Samsung, so it's nice to see LG trying to improve their chip and be competitive. I truly believe that the biggest picture quality improvements in TVs are going to be the further enhancements of picture processing in the near future. So that's something you're definitely going to want to keep your eye on. The game optimizer is back this year, and it's also seeing some changes as well. They're adding a new dark mode that promises better gaming when you are in a dark room. So you can toggle this on and off when you're playing in the dark. They also added a sports game genre on the game optimizer selection menu. I'll be curious to see if this has any algorithms in place that helps it detect scoreboard elements. Also, in the game optimizer bar, there seems to be a new functionality that is called App on App. I wonder if this is going to be like the picture-in-picture for YouTube or any other apps like Samsung is going to have on their game bar. Now, this is going to be something that is brand new to LG because I haven't seen the ability to use an app on screen while you are playing a game. So this is something that I'll be interested in seeing if it's going to work like it looks to say it works. So if you can have an app in the corner of the screen while you're gaming, maybe have a YouTube video walkthrough of the game you're playing, that is a very cool feature, and I loved it on the Samsung TVs. So it's good to see that LG is looking into something like this, if that is what is going on here. Overall, I have to say there's a lot to be excited about with these LG OLED announcements for 2022. The biggest takeaway for me is definitely going to be the usage of a heatsink in the G2. I think that is a great thing because, like I was saying earlier, the A90J absolutely blew me away when I reviewed it. So it's going to be nice to see this type of brightness control coming to a LG OLED because I really do like what LG OLED does for gamers. So to see a lot of the technology that Sony uses be put into an LG OLED, that's really welcome news. I'll also be really curious to see how bright it actually gets and to see if it's going to match the A90J or be even brighter than the A90J. There's a lot of speculation on if it could get brighter than the A90J, and I think it's definitely possible, especially with these new panel enhancements, and then there's more processing enhancements as well. So there's some hope that it could be the brightest OLED that we've seen yet. That's something to keep your eye on to see if that indeed ends up being true. Earlier this week, we heard about the OLED EX panel, and it's believed that the C2 and the G2 are going to be using these panels because they both have slimmer screen bezels. You have a 6mm for the 2022 models versus the 10.2mm bezel in 2021, which does kind of point out that maybe the EX panels are being used here. And the difference between the C2 and the G2 really just seems to be the heatsink, so it does feel like we have an A90J, A80J situation for LG. I'm curious to see if we're going to see that pricing difference like we've seen from the A90J to the A80J. I mean, the A90J is just ridiculously more expensive than the A80J, so are we going to see the usage of a heatsink crank up the price for the G2. Now really quickly, I would like to get into some of the AI Picture Pro enhancements that they talked about. The new AI Picture Pro is going to have a new Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro, and this is something that could bring some value to a lot of people. I know me personally, I like Dynamic Tone Mapping on when I'm gaming, but it does lift some areas that I really didn't want lifted. So it's going to be interesting to see if that is fixed with this new Dynamic Tone Mapping Pro. The other thing they added to AI Picture Pro is the foreground and background enhancing effect. So this is supposed to create more depth. We've seen something similar being announced with the Samsung TVs as well. We've seen the Sony TVs talk about this last year with the XR processor. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this really is going to change the picture quality. Of course, this is an option you can turn off because it is in the AI Picture Pro function. So you are going to have the ability to have enhanced depth and contrast if you turn this mode on. The other thing they talk about is the AI Sound Pro, which is going to give you virtual 7.1.2 surround sound mixing. Now, I have to say I've tried something like this in the past from LG and I wasn't too impressed, so hopefully they revamp this quite a bit. The next thing they made an emphasis on was the Dolby Vision IQ with precision detail. Now we've seen Dolby Vision IQ on other TVs, but Dolby Vision IQ with precision detail is something else entirely according to LG. Dolby Vision IQ with precision detail seems to be a AI picture enhancement on top of Dolby Vision, so it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be a mode worth using. Me personally, I think I will be very interested in trying this out, as I do like using those picture enhancement tools such as reality creation on Sony's A90J and A80J TVs. So if Dolby Vision IQ is going to just give us more detail in the picture quality, count me in. I really do like these features, and I hope it works better than the current Dolby Vision IQ that is implemented on some other brands' TVs. If you're looking for more CES 2022 announcements and coverage, check out the videos at the end. And be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.